we kick you out.
You don't know this church very well, then. Kick us out? Pastor's like, okay, turn the lights off when you're done. That's what Pastor's like. You walking up? Okay.
You better watch it, lady, or I'll kick you out first, all right?
Don't mind me.
Uh,
You're mad. Okay, I can still talk outside.
oh, never mind, your preacher's giving me the don't do that sign. All right. Oh, you're all fine. You're fine. You're fine. All right. I'm going to go back to finish talking about the set segment, just a couple other thoughts. We really are not concerned with getting through a certain number of verses. We're concerned with learning, understanding, applying Scripture, learning how to meditate, think on things, right? When you finish one verse, you just go to the next, and we just make a mark. This is where we ended. We just pick up there the next time and just continue on. You don't worry about getting through it in a certain length of time. You'll get through it when you get through it. It's okay. And we already talked, I think, about everything else. At the end of the set segment, we stop and take a bathroom break. And I really do encourage, hey, if you need to use the bathroom, now's the time, because we're getting ready to have the preaching. If you don't tell them, you'll have a third of them at least that will decide once you start preaching, that's when they need to go to the bathroom. And so we take bathroom break. And then when I'm preaching, if I have someone that starts, it's one thing, sometimes people have an emergency. I get that, that happens. But if they consistently have an emergency, then I let them know it's not okay to get up and leave during the preaching time. You need to go to the bathroom during the bathroom break, because if you do that every time, you're distracting other people. It's not always just about you. You're distracting other people. Don't be a distraction to everyone else, okay? So, and then we'll come back after that break, and we will quote the 15 Bible truths together to start the third segment, right? So we start our go segment, we start by quoting the 15 Bible truths, and then we go into the teaching and preaching. Any questions about those things right there?
I found it, now maybe I may even switch back, because I did a lot of changing around with that, because we just had a group of us people, and nobody in the class periodically, or off and on. But we put the 15 Bible truths after the the ready portion, because then we started doing the
first time,
and then we did the Psalms 1 before the preaching. So it got there, and my thought was the mindset, right?
Yeah.
And the unrighteous and the righteous, and then we preached to them.
That's fine.
So, I mean, if that's...
You can do it however you want to do it. I'm just telling you how we do it. We do the Psalm 1 at the end of the ready. We do the 15 Bible truths for the opening of the go. But I mean, it's your meeting. Yeah, you can do it either way. If you want to quote Psalm 23 instead of Psalm 1, that's okay too.
No, I like Psalm 1.
No, Psalm 23 is good. Think about it. Spend some time thinking about it. I would recommend Psalm 119 for some of you. I mean, all right. So then we go into the go segment. For us, we quote the Bible truths, and then we preach. Right. You can preach on anything that God leads you to preach on. I would recommend that you avoid preaching on topics that are more strictly doctrinal topics, such as eschatology, preaching on the end times. I'm going to preach for the next 3 years on the book of Revelation, something like that. It's interesting and it does intrigue people, but does it help them tomorrow with dealing with their addiction? The preaching that we're doing in Hope really should be targeted on giving them something to help them day to day. Okay. So it certainly is fine to preach through books of the Bible, right? And I preach through the book, preach through 1 John and books like that. But as I'm preaching through it, I'm not just doing a doctrinal treatise. I'm preaching on the things there that are present there that will help them just being able to walk with God, having victory, and getting strength in their daily life, right? So that's kind of the obvious focus in the preaching. One thing you can do, this is a open option to you at least, is if you say, well, I don't really know what to preach on, you can preach through the 15 Bible truths, right? Preach. I wouldn't preach like through them nonstop, like, all right, we're starting again. But preaching through them is a great preaching topic. There's a lot of good scripture on that topic, right? You can take one of the books that we have, the book on putting on the mind of Christ. That is a series. Really, every chapter was a message at one point that I preached out of the book of Philippians, and so that could be a whole series of messages, and you could preach through the book. And one of the things you can do along with that, you can say, hey, I'm going to be teaching or preaching out of this next chapter. If you want to read the chapter, and then don't preach what the book says, but take the thoughts or the verses there and preach along the same topic, right? That's fine. You can not tell them what you're preaching out of and just hide the information and then preach it as if it were your own. That's fine too. I mean, do whatever you want. One thing I learned a long time ago is the key to originality is the ability to conceal your sources, right? So, all right. Go ahead.
And you have the book available back here, right?
What book?
Preaching on
Putting on the mind. Yeah, it's the light blue one on the front down there. Trials from Triumph and all that. Yes. Did you need something? Okay. I thought you were standing there looking like you were. Oh. Okay. Yeah, it's on the front back there. But you can do it with any of those books. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, preaching through the emotional pain book is probably going to be helpful to your folks in your program. You can do that. You can. I'm not saying. I don't mean preach from the emotional pain book. Preach from the Bible, but using it as a guide, and saying, hey, I'm going to deal with this chapter, but I'm going to deal with the subject he deals with here, and take the scriptures and preach what the Bible says about it, right? And you can, just like you would in any message, it's okay to quote people on a particular topic. You can say it says X, and he's wrong about this, and this is what you should really know about it, right? So that's fine. Audible, yes, and that's maybe different than audio. They're audio books, but they're on Audible. Yeah, so all of my books are on Audible. Yes.
so you can hear them without watching.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yes. Both.
I've had Brother Shane go through a few books with biblical characteristics of people, and he's been able to outline those each character, and not just characters in the Bible, but characteristics. And I think that's been a help. I've used that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's so. There is a book back there also on that. The title of the book is Active Corrective Christianity, and that is biblical characteristics, and it's set up as a outline format with scripture and points and so forth, and those are all things I've preached through in the past as well. And you wouldn't, some of those you really couldn't get through in a single message. It would be, and I think there's 70 topics in that book, biblical characteristics, kindness, and mercy, and those type of things. So those are the type of things you can preach from too. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, my point is, obviously, don't preach just your ideas. Preach the word, but taking some of those and using them as a source material for lessons is fine. One of the things that I know happens a lot is people will take some of the books, and they'll actually take the text, pop it into AI, and on, like you could copy it on Kindle. You can pop it into AI and ask AI to write you a study guide to go along with it, with that chapter, and follow-up questions. I know that sounds crazy, but it'll actually do that, and it's not changing the text, or anything like that. But it'll give you a little lesson study guide that with fill in the blanks if you ask it to, and follow-up questions, and you can use it as a lesson. Yeah,
Notebook LM has been,
does the same thing.
it's all in the same little binder.
Hmm.
Pick which ones you want to build your study notes for, and it'll give you like infographics. It's crazy.
Notebook LM.
Yeah, it's by Google. Notebook LM.
There you go.
I think there's a free level on it.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah. And I'm not like, I don't go to AI and ask it, write me a message on. But if you already have something that you're going to use as a study, it's okay to maybe use AI for a little bit of a, put it in a format that you could do a handout with people or something like that. Now, sometimes people who have done those things can do it already and know how to do it. Like, but for most of the rest of people, if it's a tool, that's basically all it is. So using it in that fashion, I don't see it as a problem. Now, I guarantee there are preachers that do, and so if your pastor is against it, he's right. That's all there is to it. All right. So, what was I going to say? Preaching, right? So you're just going to preach and try and primarily preach things that will be a help and encouragement, and then we always have snacks that follow the service, and we do that in a we do that in like a sign up sheet. That's another way we can just have people get more engagement that way, so forth. People bring in snacks, and so. All right, let's talk about promotion of the program here for a little bit. All right, how do you find people for your Hope chapter? There are certainly things that you can do just preparatory at your location, as far as putting out banners and signs. That's a good thing to do. By the way, we do now have on the Hope site, and there's more to come. We now have a banner for like a welcome banner, a 15 Bible Truths banner that are tall, like big banners that have those on there, which can be a nice, and they're retractable, so you can set them up and take them down, kind of thing, just for your weekly meeting that way. But I'm talking not about those. I'm talking about street banners out on the side. Obviously, flyers, tracts. This is not live yet, but I am telling you about it, and hopefully by July it will be fully live. Our church is building a full print shop, and part of the goal is to be able to do custom Hope tracts and flyers. Of course, we could do any kind of church track in that, but one of the big targets is going to be able to do Hope tracts and flyers and door hangers. We've got the equipment to do like the die cuts for a door hanger and things like that. So all of that is hopefully going to be available come July. Is when our hope is to kind of make it fully available, but just those type of things. And then we're going to build on the website. Then there would be a way that you could put your information in to customize the track back, and be able to run it that way, or the flyer or whatever. Okay, so that's one of the things we've struggled with being able to help people with since we started, and so this is will be a huge assistance in that once we get that fully done. Social media advertising is a great way to, of course, get the word out about your Hope program. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is look on your Facebook, for instance, look for local groups. Like there's community groups. So look for local community groups and post in there. Okay. So, and the key to Facebook advertising is just consistency. Post something every week about your group, right? And just try and mix it up. Doesn't need to be the same exact thing every single time, right? So, Angela, I'm going to go back to AI for just a second. AI is making it to where anybody can make really nice graphics with very little ability. Okay. So Angela will take the information for our Hope chapter back in Oklahoma City. She has that information, and she'll just sit down for a few minutes at the beginning of the month, and she'll say, "Make me a Facebook post." She uses Chat GPT for this. She's make me a Facebook post using this information. Tell Angela, how would you say it? Maybe in a retro style or.
Right. Like so whatever. So I will do different styles because different styles so different people. So sometimes I'll start off with I want a business format. We're doing an eviction meeting, modern language. You know, keep the Bible verse the same as KJV. Be very specific in what you want. And the more specific you are, the better.
Right. And she'll just do that 4 different times, right? And so one time she'll say business format with the specifics, KJV, whatever, and maybe a verse. And then she'll do it another time and she'll say, make it focused on women, make it focused on men, make it retro style, make it this, that, whatever. And she'll just do 4 of those. It literally produces them within seconds. And then you do have to verify the information, okay? But they are very attractive ads, and then you can schedule them on your Facebook. I would encourage you to, I'm not talking about your personal Facebook, make yourself a Facebook page for your Hope chapter. Hope for, Frederick. And you have to have a personal Facebook to have that, okay? But it doesn't cost you anything to do that. And then you just post that, you schedule those ads to go out maybe, on Wednesday or something, just, hey, our meeting's on Friday, and you schedule that ad to be posted on your thing. And then you just share it into the community groups. And that way it gets posted in the neighborhood, basically. If there's neighborhood associations, you can literally, Facebook allows you to follow them, and you can even post in them. Now, they may say, well, if you're not in our neighborhood, you can't do that. That's possible. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But just look for groups in your community and then share it into those groups. It's a great way to advertise that way. One of the things that I have seen have been very, very effective is people going to make in-person connections with other local addiction groups. And I don't mean attending AA meetings and those type of things. I mean going to outreach groups in your community that that have already connections with addicts. They're always looking for more help. They're always looking for other resources, other places to refer people to, even though they are also doing that work, okay? Because they have people that don't fit their system. And they're like, we don't know where to send this person, right? And I'm not talking about that they're just the worst of the worst people. I'm talking about they just don't click. They don't, seem to fit in to what they're trying to do, their methods or whatever. And so they're looking for other referrals. And some of those, I'm going to give you a list of different, and some of these are websites that you can use and look up. But halfway houses are a great resource for Hope people that are looking. So there's a website called halfwayhousedirectory.com. You can select the distance around from your zip code or from your address. And if you're willing to run a van, halfway houses will fill up your Hope chapter. And it's not bad. There's a church out in Dayton, Ohio that has been doing that. and there's a number of halfway houses in their area. They pick up anywhere from 30 to 50 people every Friday night for their Hope meeting. They've had dozens of people get saved. They've been doing Hope for just over a year now. They currently have 30 church members who are faithfully attending every service that came through their Hope ministry because they were willing to go pick them up at the halfway houses. Because they're not going to stay in the halfway house forever, right? But they're needing help, and a church that's willing to help them, and bring them. A lot of times they don't have transportation, so running a van over there or something is a great resource. I looked up Frederick, and you have 2 within 10 miles. All right, so it's if you're willing to do. And by the way, if you're taking the time to do a weekly meeting, going and picking up a group, I mean, I know it's a little extra time, but I'm sure there's somebody in the church that might go, yeah, I'd be willing to run the van for that, right? And that's a great resource there. But you have to go in person and talk to the people there, okay? Don't just call. If you just call, you're probably not going to get the response you're looking for. Go meet them, take a little bit of information about your meeting, and talk to them, get to know them, let them know you're a real person, right? And that's a great way. So halfwayhousedirectory.com is a good resource. You can also do VOA.org. That's Volunteers of America. And they have a navigator on their Service Navigator, I think it's called, where you can find not chapters, but local things. Now, Volunteers of America, some places has addiction-related things, and some places doesn't. So it won't necessarily hit for everybody. But I know that that church in Dayton has had a lot of people come through the Volunteers of America, because they're in Dayton. They have an addiction outlet. I don't know how you call it, but one of their things there. Now, it's not everywhere that way, but it is a good source. I know this is going to sound a little bit weird, but Salvation Army. They deal with a lot of addicts. They have their own program. Okay, that's fine. We're not going over there and saying, hey, would you send people to ours? Ours is better than yours. But a lot of those people would love to have another outlet, another place, because especially sometimes people are going to meetings because they have court mandated, they have to go to so many meetings. Going to another meeting is something they're looking for. They're looking for more opportunities. You say, well, will we really be able to help them? If I'm preaching and teaching the Word of God and they're coming, they might not be getting that at any other meeting, right? So it may be the very opportunity that they need. Yeah.
So if somebody comes from there and says, well, can you write it off as community service? We don't do that, right?
It's up to your church. Now, attending the meeting isn't community service, but yeah, they would have to do, but if they come and mow the lawn, or they, the church can make it available, yes. But I wouldn't, unless your pastor says, hey, if you have, here's some list of things they can do, I would go through the pastor on the, community. But just attending the meeting, no. But often they do have to have signed off that they attended a meeting. We keep a sign off, a weekly sheet where people write down their name that they came, and we pass it around during the opening time. And that way, if we're ever asked for verification that someone was at meetings, we have a weekly verification. We just keep it filed. Okay. So Volunteers of America, VOA.org, or SalvationArmyUSA.org, those, you can find, and often, especially Salvation Army, they do deal with addicts, right? And you might think, well, they're doing it, so they're not going to refer anybody. You're wrong. You're wrong. They want help. They don't want to be the only ones doing this. And sometimes we get we're the only ones mentality, and we're wrong to do that. I'm not saying that they're getting right answers everywhere, but anybody that's trying to help people get off drugs, they're not bad. I mean, Jesus said, those that aren't against us are on our part. And I'm not saying they're all preaching the gospel, but I'm just saying they're trying to help people. Don't, they're not your enemy. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So there's another one. This is a government one, findtreatment.gov. And if you go on there, you can put your address in. It'll tell you other agencies that receive government funding. Now, we don't receive government funding, but if some group receives government funding, they'll be on there, and those are good resources. In Oklahoma City, we have a group down the street from us called Hope. What's it called, hun? Hope. Yeah, something like that. It's the same. We're Hope Addictions, but Hope Services or something like that. Well, they work only with women, I think, that are dealing with addiction issues and various stuff like that. It's a great resource, right? And we just connect with people like that. It's again, they're in the same line of thought. People need help, so encourage and help and be an outlet for them also. Local police and fire departments deal with addicts all the time. Give them resources to pass out, and some of them will. All right, not all of them will, but if they know that, hey, they're on this domestic, and this guy he's a drunk, and that's what's causing their problems, that police officer has discretion to be able to say, have you thought about going just down to this church over here on Friday night? They have a meeting, right? It's addiction recovery meeting. Okay, so police and fire first responders, are a good resource for that. Go talk to your local judges and parole officers. They can actually mandate people coming, and that's not bad. Don't get this idea. Well, we don't want people here because they have to be here. Of course we do. Of course we do, because they're going to hear the word of God. Okay. And so go talk to the judge in your community. Go talk to the parole officers. They can mandate people to come. And now they may not, because sometimes you get a liberal one that's, whatever. But don't presuppose they're all that way. Go talk to them. Look for other local helps organizations. They may not all be listed on the websites I gave you, but if you find one, great, talk to them. Talk to people at thrift stores. I don't mean just the clientele. Talk to the people that run the thrift store. All right. Often they are dealing with groups that deal with homeless and or addictions and those type of things. Great resource. You've got to build these relationships, right? Talk to homeless shelters. They're looking for places to refer people. Talk to women's shelters. Those type of things. If you're putting up flyers, laundromats are a great place. All right. You say, well, what about bars? If they'll put up a flyer, I'm not against it, right? If the liquor store will put up a flyer. It's funny, we had someone from our group at one point went and started, they were going down the street trying to put out flyers for extra credit. And they went into a liquor store and asked if they could put a flyer up. And the guy's like, why would we put a flyer up for your addictions program in our liquor store? And this was their answer. They said, well, yeah, but you don't want people like addicted, do you? And they're like, oh yeah, I guess not. And they literally let them put up a flyer in the liquor store. I don't know that anyone came from it, but even people in the liquor store are like, yeah, if people are like, if it's really hurting them, then, So anyway, I don't really recommend going into the liquor stores, but nonetheless. All right. Those are just some ideas. My point in this is sometimes the thing I hear from local chapters is, well, we just don't know, no one in our church. We've asked everyone around our church and we can't seem to get him. Well, you may have to go out of your comfort zone and talk to people outside of your church, right? You might need to go talk to that homeless shelter. You might need to go talk to that halfway house and just go take flyers over, go meet the people, run that van over there, and all of those type of things. There are so many people that need help, and everyone that's trying to offer help is looking for more help. All right? So we just got to make ourselves available, okay? And not feel like we're in competition. It's just like if there's another Baptist church in this town, across the town over here, and they're preaching the gospel, they're not our competition. Okay, we're not against them, opposed to them. If they're trying to help people know Jesus Christ as their Savior, and by the way, even if they're not a Baptist church and they're preaching the gospel, I'm not against them, right? Now, I may disagree with them on things. We're not going to do things the same, right? But they don't have to be my enemy, okay? And the same especially is true with people trying to deal with addictions and trying to help people. They're not our enemy. They may not do things like we do it, and our program's way better than theirs. We all know that, okay? But that doesn't mean they're evil, right? So don't treat them like they're the enemy or evil. Try and partner with as many people as you can, because we're trying to help people, and you don't know where that referral and reference is going to come from. And so just get as many of those as you can. All right, any questions? Mhm.
Like during the set session, is there like a certain time of silence? Because sometimes we ran into where nobody's saying anything for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like how long do you sit before?
How long is a very long time?
Yeah, it could be 5 minutes.
You've gone 5 minutes without someone saying something?
Yes.
Or does it feel that way?
No, I think
You're timing it?
there has been times where I'm like, okay, I'm not timing it per se, but yeah.
Silence feels longer than it usually is. But if in fact it's going long, you can rephrase the question. So that's what I was saying.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. If you do hit 5 minutes, let me know, because I think that might be a record.
I'm gonna start timing it.
Do it. Bet.
You won't.
All right. Other questions? And it doesn't have to be about stuff we've talked about. It can be about anything. Maybe I know there's several folks running meetings here. That was a good question. Maybe there's something you're like, you know what? You haven't addressed this. What about this topic, subject, whatever? Yep.
Had anyone reach out to Allegiant for resources?
What is a legion?
The American Legion?
Oh, okay. They call it a legion? Huh. I didn't know that.
American Legion.
Yeah. Right. So,
My dad was part of
yeah, I know. I just had never heard it called a legion. Okay. Yeah. As far as offering, hey, we have a weekly meeting if there's even, no, I think that's a great idea. VFW too. Any military type organization, anybody that deals with people, and I know like most VFWs are basically just bars. But at the same time, they all know people that they're like, yeah, I mean, I drink, but he's a drunk, right? He needs help. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think reaching out to all of them is what you want to do. Don't limit yourself. Any organization that deals with people is going to deal with somebody that needs help. So, yep. All right. Other questions about any topic? Yes.
And I have a question, but your dad looks for even like those care homes for the veteran.
Yes, that's true.
Retired veterans.
They have.
Don't do it, but he has quite a few people from there coming, so that's another reason.
They have an apartment complex not far from their church that is for disabled veterans, and so they have a lot of guys that come from there for their hope meetings. All right, and they get some interesting comments. Leave it at that. All right. I'm not talking about the week like on visitation. I'm talking about in their meetings. They get some interesting comments because they got all these guys they've been through stuff, So anyway, so you could liven it up. All right. Other questions? we're a little early, and I could go on to a lot of other subjects, but I want to give plenty of time for, yeah.
Well, if we're going through your outline, right, red city go, at the end, what the main thing that states, we have refreshments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is there time for that now?
We had refreshments here before. We had donuts, sugar, and coffee. That's what I was told. Donuts and coffee. There may be donuts left, and you can go do that. That's all right. Are there? Okay, perfect. There's donuts left. All right. Ret Steady Go. I never did that one before. I did meet a guy that was a dyslexic atheist, and he didn't believe in dog. And so, anyway. I told Brother Todd yesterday I'm a weather agnostic. I don't know whether or not there's weather or not. So. Anyway, all right. We'll go ahead and stop. We're a little bit early, but that's fine. And there's plenty of resources back here. If you have personal questions you want to ask away. If you want to get some of those resources, that's fine. We do have remember the conference in July. If you'd like to come for that, I encourage you to go on the website, the Hope for Addictions website, and register there. You can also go on there and see the new banners and various different things. The new tokens and so forth. We are really working to add new resources and tools for you to be able to use. And we've got other things in the works and in development. And I feel like we finally kind of turned a corner and able to produce more of those things. One of the things that the print shop we're putting in will help with is that there's churches down in Mexico that are in need of materials that cannot get materials, and that we did a conference down there on this, and to get materials printed, they don't have the technology to, like most churches here have a copier. They don't have copiers there. If they have one, it's like an inkjet, type thing. It's very cost prohibitive for them to produce materials like that. And so one of the things we're wanting to do with our print shop is produce materials in Spanish. We're fully translated already into Spanish. By the way, if you have folks need help in Spanish, all the materials for the Spanish is available that way. But we're hoping to produce materials we can take into Mexico and other Central and South American countries and be able to distribute that way. And ultimately also, we're one of the ministries out of our church is called Makeaway Ministry. Brother Stephen Barr runs that, and he's getting ready to go over to the Philippines and set up their 4th press over there. And then mostly they've printed Bibles, but they're getting ready to start printing. We have all our materials translated into Tagalog also. They're getting ready to start printing Hope materials in the Philippines and distributing that. And then also our goal is to set up 6 presses in the Philippines, and then we're going to start into Central and South America and the Caribbean. It is so crazy how expensive it is to ship books into the Caribbean, particularly for some reason. I don't understand why, but we went to ship 1 box of books, like a size of a box of copy paper box, and it was $300 for shipping. And it's so cost prohibitive. And then when they get it, to pick it up, they have to pay a $4 a pound on top of the cost to ship it. And that's the import tax on that. So one of the things we're going to try and do over time is to put in presses in those places to be able to produce materials. I'm saying that on purpose, and this we're getting ready to dismiss, but one of the things we've always done is we have made all of our materials downloadable, free to print. That's a heart that we have because we want anybody to be able to get the materials and the help they need. One of the things we've also done is we have made a 30% discount available to any registered chapter and on printed materials. I'm telling you this because that portion is going to be going away for 2 reasons. One, when we first started doing that, we were pastoring a church and had a full salary, and now we live on the love offerings and support. Okay, and it's, believe it or not, it's expensive to drive in America, especially when $6 a gallon diesel, and so like even just driving here. Brother Todd asked me, how much did it cost you just in gas? It was from Dodge City, Kansas to Frederick was $500, just fuel. Okay. That's not any of the other expenses that go along with that, right? The oil changes and the, brakes and just maintenance and insurance and all that. And I'm not telling you that to feel sorry for me at all. But one of the things I'm saying, we're going to take the 30% discount that has been on printed materials, and that is going to be available only to supporting churches from this point forward. So if a person doesn't have to support us, and you never have to buy a book from us, you can download the material and you can print it. That's not going to change. But we're going to give a 30%. The 30% discount will be available for churches that support the ministry, that help us to be able. Because one of the hearts we have is to get as many churches helped with equipping them with this, but not just here in the States. Like I said, we've got churches and conferences we've done in Mexico. Those churches can't afford to pay for us to come, so we have to pay for ourselves to go. We've got I had to tell a church in St. Lucia, they want to start a Hope program there, and they even want to start having homes. And I had to tell them I can't come yet because we can't afford the tickets. So it's one of those things where support helps us to be able to not only maintain what we're doing, but also to be able to go to these other countries in the Caribbean, Central, South America primarily, and to be able to help do training. We did Nicaragua this year, by God's grace. We did training there. We did training in Mexico. But there's a lot of other places. So the support will help us to be able to do that. And then if someone doesn't support us monthly, that's fine because it's not required. But the extra 30% that they pay for the books will help us with the getting to those places in that fashion. Right? So there's some adjustments in that are coming. But if you're able to support us, we would be blessed by that, and it certainly would keep us moving forward, helping churches to be able to establish Hope chapters. All right. So if there are no other questions, yep, sir.
Mention again it's not hope, but it is counseling.
Yes. October. What are the dates? In October, like the month of October is counseling month at Tri-Town Baptist Church. I can pull it up here. I can find it. Okay, 6th to the 8th. Now that'll be a really intensive. We're going to do marriage counseling, a full course. It'll be 3 days. It'll be 5 hours, or 5 or 6 hours a day. I don't remember now what it is, but and so for those that want to get training in marriage counseling, or maybe you need to bring your spouse for that so they can get the help they need, right?
We now need help.
All right. So yes, October, and we're going to be doing that every year. From now on, we'll be teaching a full counseling course in October here at Tri-Town every year. So, okay. In July, we're doing Life Issues Discipleship 2 counseling course. So, all right, we're dismissed.